What is going on, YouTube? Pass the Prop. NFL is back, and we're ready to break down Week 9 for you guys. As always, joined by my guy Stu. What's good, man?
Nothing much. I mean, hey, I'm excited. We got a nice big week of NFL action going. Started off with a solid Thursday night football game. I mean, given the circumstance, two very ugly teams going back and forth. I had a pretty good start to the week. Lost Cole Holcomb on the injury, but still bounced back and ended up winning every other bet. So another good Thursday night football for me. Back to back, very nice weeks there. It's good to have that momentum going into the week. Makes you feel a little bit better. Have a little bit of money on the table already. So I'm excited to be here. Got some great plays today.
Yeah, bro. I don't even know the last time I just didn't bet one thing in an NFL game like that. I sat out last night. Didn't have any bets in that game. I got to kind of see Levis before I start unloading my paper. But yeah, it was I played George Pickens in fantasy. I played against him, so that was fantastic for your boy. I like all the memes of him not getting his foot down in the end zone. That made me laugh so hard. I'm like, thank you, George Pickens. I appreciate all you're doing for me. I did bench Najee Harris this week. Where's this explosive Najee Harris coming from, bro? I love it. I love to see it. Even getting a couple checkdowns too.
Yeah, no, I had that in the parlay. The last leg that didn't cash for me was under 45 rush yards. Had everything else, had his receptions even right there, but yeah, just missed. And I mean, it's kind of interesting to just speak on Najee real quick. I saw an interesting graph last year and this year. The chart is very similar. His workload started slower, and then he slowly took over more and more. And last season, there wasn't this opposing back narrative, so it went kind of unnoticed. And now this year, everyone kind of fell in love with Warren, but he's still on the same trajectory. Like, it's not, look, if you're a big Warren guy, you've got him on your fantasy teams, I wouldn't really be depending on that going forward, right? It seems to be that Mike Tomlin is pretty stubborn on this Najee Harris train, and that's what we're riding with for the rest of the season. So just a little PSA out there, and just for betting moving forward too. I wouldn't be expecting Warren to ever be, that 10-plus rush back that people might hope he is.
Bro, I don't think people understand how big Najee Harris is, bro. Like, that dude is a big dude. Like, I'm pretty sure he's like 230 pounds, 240 pounds, bro. Like, he's a big guy. So that kind of fits that Steeler mold, that trying to run downhill a little bit and then that little scat back. I don't think you're going to see Jalen Warren become like that dude, that they're going to run downhill with, 10 to 12 times a game. But, hey, I'll take 15 carries for Najee, man. I'd love to see that. Hopefully those dump downs continue to come there. But yeah, Sheldon dropping in the chat already. Levis, the official start. I mean, I don't know how you switch. I truly don't know how you switch after what we've seen from Tannehill. And I mean, we've seen it for 2-3 years now. Tannehill, the same kind of guy. And fantasy guys, rejoice if you're a receiver owner of any of those guys there. At least they're going to be chucking it around. Derrick Henry is a little bit more efficient because you got to open it up a little bit. It kind of helps everybody.
Yeah, just take a step further. I've been even a Tannehill defender in the past. I don't think he's quite as terrible, although he hasn't been great this season, obviously. It would be criminal to not start Levis for the rest of the season, not only to your franchise, to the fans that are paying money to watch the games, but just you're doing yourself a disservice by not seeing what you have. This kid, no matter what you think about him, has unreal arm talent. I mean, he's floating balls 50 yards down the field off his back foot. He looks exactly like Jay Cutler to me. And I don't know if Jay Cutler works in the modern NFL. I think he could. But it'll be fun to see either way. You need to see that development for the rest of the year. This is not a serious championship team. They do have a great defense, so I understand why they do want to keep winning games. But you got to start Levis, man. It would be insane if we saw Tannehill step out again next week.
Sounds good. We got a couple other guys in the chat. We got MSA. Looking forward to the analysis. We appreciate you popping in first comment there. As always, our guy Cashville, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you guys getting that like button hit there. And we will get it moving here into this NFL slate. Wow, yeah, there's a lot of good games. But if you're a DFS player, there's a lot of them that aren't on the main slate, which is kind of sucks, right? Especially the big boy. I guess we can just kind of talk about that one on its own since it's its own game out in Germany. What's your thoughts on that Miami game as they're traveling into the Germany portion, I guess, of the international football sport spots?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of wish, I think a lot of fans feel the same way. I just wish this game was in America just because being in that unknown just adds a bunch of unknowns to the situation. And as bettors, we want to limit that as much as possible. We want to have as much control as we can humanly possible as people that sit on our couch, right? And so the fact that they are in a totally new spot, we hear the players talk about how that does kind of affect things. That's the biggest thing. It throws it off a little bit. For me, that would kind of keep me away from betting like the over in the game at 54 or whatever it is. Like I still like plenty of player overs, but there are enough weird things that could happen in that game for me to be like a little bit away from that number, especially with how we've seen some of these primetime games go this season. But obviously, super excited to watch it. I don't have a strong lean on who I think is going to win personally. I don't know about you. I've kind of faded the Dolphins in some of these higher leverage games so far this season, but this is a game that I could see maybe going back to them because, to be honest, I still don't know how much like the Chiefs care. Like to me, it's still funny to watch these games. It feels like the Chiefs are still rolling out their B and C playbook. It was pretty clear last week as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm very curious how this Dolphins D responds. Sheldon in the chat mentioned Xavier and Ramsey on the field for the first time. Is that going to be more name value than anything, or are these guys going to step up? We saw Ramsey have the interception in last game in his debut as well. I'm excited to see it. That defense being good would add a whole new aspect to this Miami, strong team already.
Yeah, we're kind of already talking about, Bradley Chubb coming over last year, obviously, as well. Got some pass rush. Still don't even have Jalen Phillips there yet, who was one of their best guys last year as well, on that linebacker defensive end spot there. So he's been a beast too, but he hasn't even been playing. So this could take a huge step forward for this Miami team. But yeah, I'm excited for this game. Just really shitty it's not on the main slate, as a DFS guy and wanting to play it as many times as possible. It's down to 50.5. Imagine if that was in like Arrowhead or in Miami, man. It'd probably be 53, right? 53, 54. But still, one of the highest totals on the slate.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm pumped for that one. Even as an international game hater, as a London game hater, I'm setting my alarm. We're all going to be up for that one. It's one of those things. You got to be watching. It's the game of the week, and it's not even on the main slate. But, we'll still talk our game of the week on the main slate.
Awesome. Stu, let's get into this. We got 25 of you guys in here in the first 6-7 minutes here. Thank you guys so much. Again, hit that like button. We appreciate you. And let's get to the big screen game here. What are we looking at here as a game we want to watch?
Yeah, for me, this is going to be the play no matter what, but it's definitely becoming more and more possible. I'm saying the Seahawks, Ravens, it might be the big screen game for me. I might be there in person. So that's kind of the biggest screen possible. I'm still trying to work out the logistics, see if I can make that happen. But hopefully I'll be at the Seahawks Ravens game this weekend, which should be a lot of fun. Obviously stoked to see these two teams duke it out. The spread got a little crazy though, right? 6 points now for the Ravens. I've been a Ravens backer all year long, but even that is out of the territory that I am willing to lay for this team. So I'll probably just be going as a fan. I don't think I'll have a bet on the spread either way, but looking forward to that game a lot.
Yeah, I don't mind them as dogs at that price. Jesus Christ. They're there's not many good dogs on the slate here, so that definitely is one that caught my attention there. I don't know, dude. I'm kind of in a toss up here. I kind of want to see week 2 Bryce Young with the offensive coordinator here as a 2.5 point dog there. But obviously, I don't want to talk about I feel like the Eagles and the Bills games are just kind of cheat codes there. So I'm staying away from those because I'm sure we'll be talking about those for our plays here in a second. But we could just say Giants, huh? 1.5 point spread. We got Aiden O'Connell back. He's deciding he's the starter there. 1.5 point spread, 37 point total. Daniel Jones is back. How bad are these guys disgrading the Giants when you have Daniel Jones back playing and he's an underdog to Aiden O'Connell in his second career start? So I'm interested in that one because I want to see where I want to see if Saquon's going to touch the ball 40 times again.
Yeah, that's a ballsy game of the week right there because I will not be watching that game. I'll be trying to delete it from my memory after it ends, unless maybe we're wrong. Maybe it will be fun. Aiden O'Connell being good, like I've said multiple times, would be good for my best ball teams. I still drafted him. Obviously, now with everything we know, probably not the smartest idea. There was a couple weeks span in preseason, though, where this guy was getting hyped to oblivion. So maybe he'll look more comfortable after a week. I have no clue. But you're right. That's going to be a shit show. We're going to see a couple of good memes from that game. One of those guys is going to throw it directly into the other team for a pick six. That's obviously going to happen. I'm feeling right now I should just bet both teams defensive touchdown just to get ahead of it right now because, oh my God. It could actually be the most fun 37-point total we've seen in a game just with how bad both of these teams might be.
Yeah, I kind of, dude, like I said, I'm starting the Raiders defense in fantasy this week. And then I also have Saquon in so many best ball leagues. So the Saquon league still continues to go. I don't know with how many injuries I've had in that one, but shout out to our boy Tyreek for continuing to carry that one, put it just straight on his back and try to get me into the top 2 of my league there. So, Stu, do you even want to do a dog of the week, man? There's really not like any big dogs, right? There's the Bears. You want to bet on the Bears? I mean, that's not something I want to do with my life. Like I said, and now the Seattle game just got moved from 6.5 to 6 as we've been on the show here. Cardinals 9. You know, it's like and then they're all 1-point spreads, like or 1 or 2 pointers. So it's like, I guess it doesn't have to be an official one. I won't put it down on the screen here, but is there a dog that's catching your eye? Not even having to bet it, but even if it's like plus 100, plus 110.
Yeah, you kind of nailed it right there. For me, I like my Commanders. I got them at 3. It's 2.5 now. I see a lot of value in getting to that 3 number right there. But I think that's not a bad teaser leg because no matter who wins that game, it's going to be down to like a field goal, right? I feel like that's going to be a real shitty game. 2 bad offenses. But all season long, if you just played the Commanders off of spots where everyone loved them, you'd be rolling in money. They've lost every single game the public have got behind them, and they've won every game where everyone's been like, fuck that team. Look what just happened. So for me, the whole public is going to be like, oh, look, they just traded their 2 best players away on defense. They weren't being very effective anyway. This was the 26th ranked defense in football by most metrics. How much worse are we going to get? Additionally, hey, Montez Sweat had a 9% pass rush win rate this season. That's not very good if you didn't know. So I'm not the biggest Chase Young fan in the world anyway. Maybe I'm just coping out loud right now. The point is, I don't think the hit is quite as bad as people are anticipating. I think a guy like Sam Howell is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder this week. We'll see how that works. I like the Commanders as an underdog.
Yeah, I never thought I'd really say this, but I kind of like the Bills as underdogs here. They're 2-point dogs here on the road. I understand it's a road game. I don't think people are going to talk about Rasul Douglas as much as they should. That dude's a beast, bro.
He is. Like, is he starting though? That's the question.
I don't know, but even if he isn't, it might be going forward. But he was by far. I know everybody talks about Jair. He was by far our best secondary guy. He brought everything together. It's kind of funny because they also have Micah Hyde, who was an old Packer as well, in there. It's just like it's going to do really big things for that defense. Like it really is. I know nobody wants to talk about because it was only like a 3rd or 2nd round pick, but we weren't going to assign him. He's going to need more money than what we were going to give him anyway. So we're not going anywhere. So I'm telling you right now, that's one that's not been talked about that much. Everybody's been kind of leaning towards why are the Bears getting stuff and why is Chase Young going there for a whatever 5th round, whatever pick it was. But that one kind of snuck in there in that middle spot where no one was really saying much about it. And everybody's talking about the Niners. And, yeah, the Niners defense is going to be awesome, right? Especially with Chase Young in there, Bosa. Everybody wants to talk about that. But I'm telling you, dude, that's a big pickup, and I like that secondary. But also, who doesn't want to watch those 2 battle it out, Burrow versus Allen? And I think this is just going to be a close game. I don't know if they're going to win, but give me 2 points in a game that I think is going to be a field goal game. Maybe we have a McPherson hits 2 field goals and they're only down 1 type of thing, something like that. You know, I would definitely want to roll with the Bills there in the game. It should be really, really competitive.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. Honestly, I've been a big Bills fan this year. For me, I just think I need to take the week off. Just like I said last week, I felt like the Bengals kind of turned a corner a little bit. They're looking like the team we finally expected them to be. So I'm now running with that interpretation. So for me, as someone that's backed the Bills and then now seen Matt Milano go down, Tre'Davious White, I agree. Douglas is a huge ad for the rest of the season. It's just for this actual week, I don't know if he's going to be back fast enough. I think the most popular, a lot of people are going to take a lot of backup quarterbacks this week. I will probably end up with the Rams. I figured I'll bring that up just because I know you're a big Packers guy. At 3 points right now, I think the Rams can cover that. I mean, I wish it was John Wolford. If it was him, I already would have had a bet in because that guy was a very fun backup, but he like denied their signing request or something and stayed on the Buccaneers. I don't know why. So now it's like Brett Rippin possibly. It could be Stafford though, right? It's not 100%.
I don't think he is, dude.
Okay.
He almost got IR, bro.
I still got a chance. He's on IR?
No, they were talking about him almost going on the IR, dude.
Theoretically, you got a chance at Stafford this week. Likely Rippin. That could be really bad, but like they might be able to check their way down the field and maybe run enough to cover this. I don't know. I'm just not trusting the Packers. The Packers are only allowed to score points in the second half. When did that become a rule? So
I hope, dude. We literally got the fucking, like I said, the off-brand fucking Kyle Shanahan guy. We got the guy who just fucking sat in the corner and did nothing during that whole thing and just got, gets an A on the project by association. It's the only reason he's fucking there, dude. His offense is terrible. Stop running 20-yard routes, bro. Just fucking throw a 10-yard play. Like, really, it's like crazy what happens when you just dump it off to Aaron Jones. Like, why the fuck is A.J. Dillon playing over 60% of snaps? It's ridiculous. I'm not even talking about it. Fuck those guys. Let's get into it here, Stu. 30 of you guys in here. Let's get into our picks. We might as well start out in the early game, we're both gonna have a play in that one. So kick it over to you for that.
Yeah, this is one I absolutely love right here. We're talking about Tyreek Hill, 7 catches, minus 132 over on FanDuel. It'll be minus 138 in like the main selection. You got to go down to the alt line. If you scroll down a little lower, you'll get it at minus 132 in the outline section, which is obviously just a little tip right there that you always want to be doing is trying to find those little edges, right? Trying to find a couple cents. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it definitely does help you in the long run there. By the way, Tyreek Hill, this one I feel like does not even need that much explaining, but we'll go into it very specifically. The reason I love this, I know it's Tyreek Hill, best wide receiver in football, blah, blah, blah. That's the obvious stuff. The reason I really like this is because this team, the Kansas City Chiefs, run the most cover 2. They run more cover 2 than any other team in football. The goal of cover 2, the deep safeties. You limit explosive plays and you keep everything in front of you. I know we love to think of Tyreek Hill as this ultimate down the field weapon, which he is. He's also a screen god. He is the screen god. And this team is amazing at executing those kind of bubble screens, those quick slants, get the wide receiver involved very quickly. Tyreek Hill was neck and neck. I don't remember who finished in the lead last year, but neck and neck all year long with Rondale Moore for targets behind the line of scrimmage. I need to look at how it is so far. I'd imagine he's in the top 5 once again. Hill is always in that category. Who doesn't love a catch behind the line of scrimmage? That's why we bet on Wandale so much earlier in the year. Get me these quick A-dot receptions. Let your dynamic playmakers get the ball in their hands. That's exactly what I think happens in this game. Obviously, the whole world knows how good Tyreek Hill is. It doesn't take that much explaining, but I think catches is the better market right here because I do think the Chiefs, they run 64% cover 2. They're going to have their safeties back a lot of plays. I think the anecdote to that is just going to be simply get Tyreek the ball fast, right? And I think that's a system we've seen work all the time. He's been so consistent so far this season. But once again, I feel like talking about how good Tyreek Hill is for 10 minutes is wasting everyone's time. That is the reason I'm playing this right here. Beyond how good he is, beyond how consistent he is, I think they're going to have to target over the middle. Oh, yeah, he leads the league in wide receiver yards over the middle of the field. And the Kansas City Chiefs, according to the Fantasy Points data suite, are allowing the most opportunities over the middle of the field. They leave the middle of the field open more than any other team in football because of these deep safety cover 2 looks, right? Their safeties are pulled back. They're allowing you to get that short intermediate kind of area. And I think Tyreek Hill just profiles to take advantage of that. He'll get his deep bombs. Hopefully we connect on those as well. But I think he crushes this number. Should be a high-paced game, potential for a shootout. But I think he gets it no matter what.
Yeah, I love Tyreek. Like I said, I was talking about my best ball. I have him in the 2 best ball leagues. I have Tyreek. He's been carrying that team to the promised land. So my spot in that game, I'm going to be going with Travis Kelce, 6 catches. I hit this in every single game. But the first game of the season against the Jaguars there, I also did want to talk about a little bit last 3 weeks, 9, 10, and 8 air yards per catch there on those because he's just getting those shorter ones. I like that, especially if we can get some pass rush from this Miami side. I'm hoping they can. We saw Denver just absolutely mow down on these dudes, and I'm hoping that Miami can get that pressure because every single time it's just that fine Kelce, right? It's fine Kelce. You always want to have those number one receivers when you're under pressure because they find a way to flow towards you when you're moving around. And those are when Patrick Mahomes is at his best, right? That's when he's been fantastic. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. I usually was grabbing this buying down at 7 before, and now I'm getting this at like minus 200, minus 225 there. And then you go over to CD. I wanted to play his just regular receptions, but it was like minus 140 for the over on it. And I'm like, why would I'm just going to buy it down and play it with another guy I really, really like. CD. I understand if you go by like hit rate this season, he's actually missed it 4 times this year. But again, they've blown teams out and been blown out in 3 of those games. Again, I talk about it all the time. What have we seen the last 2 weeks, right? The last 2 weeks, competitive-ish games, right? The Rams were ish, right? They still won by 23, but 14 targets, right? Dude, the completion rate for him on his targets are crazy, dude. 46 receptions out of 56 targets. That's crazy, right? That's so hyper efficient. But this dude's always open, man. Even on the downfield routes, you can look at it last week. 158, 117 the week before. Now we're supposedly by the book supposed to have a competitive game. If we're gonna have a competitive game, I want to be rolling with their number one option here. I like that Jake Ferguson's taking a step forward too, so you kind of have to, worry about that over the middle stuff on those short routes. Give a nice little matchup on the outside for the Phillies there, or Phillies. Goddamn, I'm talking baseball. Philadelphia, move them in the slot. Give me those short routes, but also really like this Eagles team to get ahead in this one as well. So hoping we can get those, firing in the fourth quarter. I think this is definitely a ladder situation for me as well. I think you're going to want to feed your best guy in a game of this magnitude, game of the week on that slate 325. Sign me up, baby. I'm all in on CD this week. I really like him.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is like one of those combinations that it just feels too good to be true sometimes. Like, you love getting Kelce at 6 catches. We just talked about that game, that environment for so much offense. There's going to be so much opportunity right there. 6 just feels, the only bummer in that game is that my sources are telling me Taylor Swift will not be there, and obviously we need to factor into that to our analysis. I told my buddy that's why I had to deny one of our trades earlier this week is she's going back on tour. So keep that in mind for you dynasty players out there. I'm looking out for you. And
that's why we're not doing yards. That's why we're not doing yards.
You just got to get those catches. He's not fighting for it today. He's not motivated. And yeah, as for CeeDee Lamb too, this is an Eagles team that they actually run a lot of single high coverage looks so far this year, and CeeDee's been destroying those looks. He's been absolutely wrecking, especially when you get man coverage in those opportunities. We know he's good at finding those little holes as well. So I love CeeDee Lamb, great wide receiver, should be a good option right here. And I don't know if that'll be a high scoring game, but CeeDee Lamb 5 catches is one of those props that you like bringing it down because 5 receptions is what he can get in a low scoring game or a high scoring game, right? It's kind of one of those game script agnostic kind of plays. So definitely like this combo right here.
Yeah, and I brought it up before too. It's like, again, you got to look at some of the, like, you look at it, he's got a 50% hit rate on this number, right? And that's just like, it doesn't make any sense. But again, you got to cut out some of those games, got to cut out some of those games where dude didn't even play the fourth quarter. They didn't even have to throw the ball after the second quarter, right? I mean, there's been more blowouts in these Dallas games than I've seen in a long time. Whether it be because they've been scoring defensive touchdowns, which they've done at a crazy clip already this year, or they get blown out like they have by 30 in a couple of those games as well. So really do like CeeDee Lamb this week. And it just doesn't make sense. Why are you giving me minus 125 on this? So hopefully I think it's just because, they're in Germany for that game. So I'm hoping that's a reason why. I think it's probably 50, 60 cents better if they're playing, in Arrowhead. Same to the Tyreek number as well.
Yeah, just to be honest too, I've been in that same game parlay since like the start of yesterday, just messing around with Kelce, Tyreek. And I looked over and over, and I really can't see a reason why beyond just these different factors, because when you look at the hit rates on a lot of these matchups, it's just spectacular. A little spoiler alert for later in the week as well, too. I played Tyreek 6 catches. I brought it down one. I played Rashee Rice 3 catches. I got that for -113. And I was thinking between Rice and Kelsey for so long, and I honestly like them both for the same reason, because they're both going to dominate like that little short over the middle of the field targets, right? I think on the ones where it's not Kelsey, it's going to be Rice. And when it's not Rice, it's obviously going to be Kelsey right there. Look at those outside wide receivers. Sky Moore, MVS, Mecole, fumble, a punt Hartman on his first game back. Welcome back, buddy. It's just a terrible group of wide receivers. So love that game. Love these spots. Think we definitely got a lot of good action there.
Yeah, one thing I did want to bring up too that's kind of funny is how is this going to look? Because Miami, the number one first half scoring team, right? 18.9. They're tied with Dallas actually for the first, but obviously Dallas had like a 38-point first half. So take that with a grain of salt. But they averaged 22.5 points per game in the first half at home, right? Kansas City, 21.3. They're the third best. What are they going to do at a neutral site, right? Because it's such a big drop off on a home road. What's it going to be at a neutral? I want to see who starts out quick here. Obviously, like I said, Miami number 1, Kansas City number 3. I think that's just something to even just throw your hat in there again. Kind of interested to see who jumps out to that early lead, because the team that's trailing in this game, those passing yard numbers are going to be astronomical. Mahomes throws the ball 50 times in this game. He might throw for 450, actually.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I am scared. I would not want to be on the other side of that. I mean, you mentioned all of it. They're the number 1 pass rate over expectation team in football. So even if they're ahead, whether they're behind, whether they're ahead, this is a team that is going to throw the ball a lot. And yeah, someone mentioned it earlier. Can these new Miami pieces make up for it? Because we know what Mahomes can do on his side. Can a guy like Ramsey step up? Can a guy like Howard step up? I hope so. Hopefully I'm not groggy when it happens. Hopefully I got a couple coffees in me. I'm ready to go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Raven, we will talk about that game in a little bit. I'll talk about that after my prop. I know that one's going to be very popular this week. We'll get to that. Stu, this is a question for you. I was talking about Washington. Ramondre Stevenson over 49.5 rushing yards. I can never bet on just rushing yards, right? You got to bet on both, right? Or are you going to be rolling with just the rushing yards as an option here, even though he catches so many passes?
I see your angle. For me, I'm just not really that interested in general. More like Ezekiel Elliott has a legit role in this team, whether people like it or not. Like, he's been that vulture every single week. And for me, Washington, I did take that jab at Montez Sweat earlier and his pass rush win rate being really bad. He has been the 3rd best defensive end in run defense so far this season. So that is where he makes up for it a lot. I guess the positive is Chase Young has been great as a pass rusher. He's been terrible in run defense, though. And I would say he has been, if you look at the tape, a big reason why we allowed some of these long runs. So a little bit of addition by subtraction right there. Smith Williams solid, Tuhill solid. It's just not sticking out to me, to be honest. I think that's a fair number. I played him once earlier this season at like 44. That's probably the range I'd want to get him in. I don't think I want to go into the 50s, especially when, once again, just pass on Washington. Even Mac Jones, I'm sure, can do it. I would much rather bet Demario Douglas, who's been trending in the right direction over these last couple of weeks, especially with Kendrick Bourne out, than I would Stevenson in that game.
Beautiful, beautiful. Terrence, welcome, my friend. Happy to see you in here live with us. Stu, did you talk about laddering these, or are you going to be talking about that later in the weekend, maybe?
I hadn't planned on having that for my long shot, but I did. I laddered Hill and Rashee Rice in that game already, okay. Both receptions on that. So that's what I like. I like Kelsey a lot too, but no T Swift. I don't know if I can do it.
All righty, let's get to plays 3 and 4. 35 of you guys live in here with us. Thank you so much. Hit that like button. We're at that halfway point. Plays number 3 and 4 coming at you here. Again, one of those things where it's like, why is this where it is?
Yeah, although you didn't put the rest of the screenshot right there. We got Adams 40 receiving yards and Hurts.
I just couldn't even type it up because it's like, how can I get 40 yards on this?
Yeah, that's very fair right there. But that's not doing much of the heavy lifting. Hurts is obviously doing the heavy lifting. In my opinion, I think this is probably the worst line of the week that's open so far. 7.5 rush attempts. It's only on FanDuel right now. Draftkings doesn't even have it, which is odd. It's normally always the other way around. DraftKings posting these early numbers, but DraftKings doesn't want any smoke. No DraftKings, no MGM, no Caesars. None of those guys have it. We're only sitting at FanDuel right now with 7.5 rush attempts at -158. And then PointsBet has 8.5 at -110. I had this number myself projected 8.5 -135. That's what I thought. So I thought I was going to be having to pay juice a number over what I'm getting right now, but I'm not. And I think that's a massive mistake right here. And I think it's an overreaction to the game against my Commanders last week, because why would you run a lot when you're in a situation where you can throw it to one of the best wide receivers in football down the field in one-on-one coverage against a 5'8" rookie quarterback that's getting torched? You know what I mean? Like, when you're in those situations, there's a couple things the quarterback can do when they're under pressure. They can dump the ball off, which most mobile quarterbacks do not do. So then you got two options pretty much. One, you got the Josh Allen. Oh shit, I'm in trouble. Chucking it down the field, baby. We're going to make something happen. You also get the, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I got to scramble out, take a couple yards, keep the line moving. That's normally the Jalen Hurts strategy right there. But he went to the, fuck it, I'm going to chuck it down the field, these guys suck strategy last week. I know I said a lot of words right there. I think that's pretty simple, though. I know people love using, I like throwing out the crazy numbers, but that's what it was last week. It was kind of as simple as that. But when you look at beyond that, the data is here. Gone over that number in every other game this season. He's gone over it in every career meeting against the Cowboys. And that was before the tush push existed right there. So for me, it's one of those situations where when you look at it, he's had great success in this matchup. Whether this team wants to rush or not, the Cowboys defense makes you. This is a legitimately fantastic pass rush. They had the bye week to heal up a little bit after that primetime game. Parsons started the year dominating. Then, a little bit of an injury stretch right there. So for me, going into it, I love this opportunity right here. I think 7.5 is a low number. I would have priced it at 8.5 right there. I love the goal line chances. You guys already know, what are we doing on 4th and 1? Fuck, what are we even doing on 4th and 2? They're stretching the tush push out to the multiple yard opportunities. But what I like even more is the scrambles, the short yardage opportunities. Because normally, I talked earlier, I said, I don't know if this game is going to be a high-paced game or not. And normally that is a huge deal for me. Normally I would kind of cross the game out a little bit more if I was less comfortable on the game script, because these two teams have a wide range of outcomes. This game could be a lot of things. We could get a lot of offense, but we know these are two very strong defenses. So at the end of the day, I wanted something that I thought could cash in any game script. I think that pressure being there, being forced out of the pocket, making him get the job done is what really made me love it right here. Even in a low total environment, we have a lot of Eagles fans in here. What do they love to do? Those slow drives. That's what I said. I'm never betting an over with the Eagles for the rest of the season, because when things go right for the Eagles, it's an 11-minute drive where they run the ball 14 times. They have 9 3rd-and-1s, then they get them all, obviously. They love these slow drives. I think Hurts goes over. I see Hugh in the chat, too. You're probably going to mention it. Are you worried about the Hurts injury? I did see some reports about that, but everything I was reading from the beat reporter said that he should be good to go. I like to follow this Coach Speak Index account over on Twitter, and I was going through that. I didn't see any signs that he was going to be heavily limited in this game. So we got a division rival. We got a primetime game. We got two teams battling out. I'm going to trust him. And I didn't hit on, I know I talked a lot. Devontae Adams, 40 receiving yards should be pretty simple right there. That was obviously, it's -158. It's not doing too much heavy lifting to get it down to -108. But I think Devontae has a great game. I'm probably going to bet the ladder on him as well at some point. I know O'Connell is ugly, but what do these young quarterbacks do? They hyper focus on the wide receiver one. We saw him do that. I had Adams in that game earlier this year. He got injured. He went down. He came back, and he still cashed the ticket for us in that game. Hopefully, he has a full workload now to get it done. Love that combo. Love Jalen Hurts this week.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Love the breakdown as always. And yeah, mine's not going to be a combo on this one, but I really, you got to go to DraftKings here for 261. I'm going to the big time game. That's why I told you we'll talk about Kincaid here in a second. But yeah, I'm going to be rolling Joe Burrow. I'm going to be going over 261.5 passing yards. Obviously you look at last week, fantastic performance, just looked so much better. He got his rushing game involved, which we haven't seen, right? We saw explosive running plays, like 10-yard rushing plays, right? Which we were seeing him barely be able to move throughout the pocket, right? Yep. So obviously coming off that bye week last week playing against San Francisco, just absolutely torched him. If you look at last week individually, right, obviously 38% target share to Chase. I think that comes down just a tad because we're going to get, T. Higgins probably closer to that 20-25%. T. Higgins hasn't done anything this year, and Joe Burrow is still putting up, he's starting to get those numbers turned around a little bit here. Also, one thing, we always talk about kind of reading the book and kind of seeing how they tell you what's going to happen, right? So I'm looking at Joe Burrow, man. 25.5 completions is his line, and it's straight, right? There's no juice to the under or anything. They're expecting 26 completions, right? You just go throughout this year, right? Last week, 28 completions, hit this number, right? Last time he hit it before that, Arizona, 36, went over this number, right? Against the Rams, he had 259 on 26 completions. Mind you, that was when he was still injured still. But if I'm going to have Jamar Chase getting the ball 9 times, and again, you talk about behind the line of scrimmage, he's getting those like bubble screens. And if I have Jamar Chase one-on-one with a corner, and I think we're getting at least 8 to 10 yards out of that if I'm going to have him going 1v1 here. Obviously, you got the deep threat there. Tyler Boyd looked great last week in his peripheral role, which is great. But again, I always like to look at these in these primetime games, right? Buffalo, top 10 team in first half scoring. Obviously, Cincinnati, if you want to look into it a little bit more, has not been good in the first half. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt with how the games have gone there. But Cincinnati still, with how good Joe Burrow played last week, they only scored 14 first half points and none in that second quarter. So if we're going to start seeing, this team fall a little bit behind, or even if they're not, I get to watch Joe Mixon run a 2-yard carry, bro. And I understand he looked good last week. But you know why it's easy to look good? Your quarterback completed 17 straight completions, bro. 17 straight, bro. Just cooking these boys. So if we're going to have to worry about that down the field and Joe Mixon gets a soft box, then yeah, maybe he gets that. But if they're getting up in this game, I don't think they're going to be able to run well on Buffalo. They haven't really been able to run the ball well all year. But Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, sign me up. I love that. And obviously, like I said, Tyler Boyd having that ability. And I don't even know who caught that touchdown last week for him, but I have never even heard that name. And he still catches a touchdown for him. Let me pull it up. Andre Isovias, whatever his name is. He even catches a touchdown. Everybody's catching touchdowns now that the Bengals are healthy, and this team is going to starting to roll towards those playoffs. So I really like Joe Burrow. I'll probably be playing him up to 300 again here, but I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball that well on Buffalo. And if you're getting Joe Burrow at home, bro, healthy Joe B, sign me up. This is a statement game as well, man. I love it.
I'm excited. This one, I don't want to overreact. I feel like I get vibes to that Chiefs game in primetime that had a while ago where Chase went nuclear, where Burrow went nuclear. I'm going to be sprinkling both of those things to happen. Like you said, I want to get a little of that 300-plus action. I want to get a little bit of that Chase, most receptions on or most receiving yards on the slate action right there. And you kind of nailed it right here. Bills do have a surprisingly underrated. They're top 5 to top 8 in most advanced metrics in their rush defense department. And man, the pass defense was good, but I'm going to keep harping on it. Losing Milano at linebacker is huge. He kind of was the captain of that short and intermediate range. And then we already know how good Tre'Davious White has been on the outside. So getting a new guy in from Green Bay, we don't know how fast he's going to be able to accumulate, if he's even going to play this week. And then we got a lot of young corners, a lot of unproven guys that are going to now have to go against. I mean, this is the 3 best wide receivers on any given team in the league, right? I don't think any team can put out 3 guys as strong as this. And I don't think the Bills have one guy that can cover any of these 3 guys. So that's a concern. And that's why I've been on the Bills party all year long. But I like Burrow this week a lot. And I like the Bengals a lot this week.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, though, because, yards per reception for Chase last week was 10. Obviously, 10 catches, 100 yards. But, I mean, he's averaging almost 4 to 5 yards of yards after the catch on all of these as well. And a lot of those were just, those 3-yard passes, dude. But if a book's going to say 26 completions, if they're going to give you that, that's like what I was betting Tom Brady at last year, bro. And that was like 8 or 9 running back dump offs. They're not dumping off like that. These are going to elite skill players, right? I'm not watching playoff Lenny run 3 yards and fall down, right? This is the only time I'm seeing that number is 25.5. Tom Brady, bro. And his pass, I would love to look at his advanced metrics from last year because I was betting on it every single time because he threw the ball 3 yards, right? And now you're going to tell me he's going to throw a 25 or get 26 completions, have Jamar Chase, have T. Higgins. Maybe Irv Smith decides he plays football again this week. I don't know, but still, not a bad guy to have there either. Sign me up for some Joey B, baby. He's making
after that random guy scored. If Charlie Jones is back from injury, the Purdue guy, that's your rookie random white guy that's scoring this week. He was injured. He almost had a punt return for touchdown earlier this year, which was kind of dope. But if he's back, he's going to score eventually. But I agree. I like the madness in this one.
Let's go. Love to hear it. Stu, let's get this recap going. And then we'll get to one other question I'm seeing in here, and then long shot time.
Yeah, this would be your time to drop any questions if you have them as well. Obviously, heading out here, definitely down to answer any questions now or after the show, but get them in ASAP. For me, going Tyreek Hill, 7 catches, -132 over on FanDuel. Go to the alternate reception, saves you a couple cents on the dollar right there. Staying on FanDuel, not same game parlay, I guess, just a parlay. We're going Jalen Hurts, 8 rush attempts. Combine that with Devontae Adams, 40 receiving yards, -108 over on FanDuel.
Beautiful. I'll be combining Travis Kelce, 6 catches with CeeDee Lamb, 5, -125 on FanDuel. And Joe Burrow, over 261. I'm seeing 259. Oh, man. Somebody's saying they've moved it down on DraftKings. It's 11-yard difference now from FanDuel over there. That's crazy. That is significant. Go grab that. Sign me up for some Joey B.
And I like how FanDuel's sticking on their lines this year, too. It's good for us bettors as like market perspective. We get to watch it move around a little bit more because that is crazy. A quarterback passing line, the 2 biggest books being like 13 yards apart. We don't see that anymore. We used to see that a lot back in the day, but it's very interesting. I wonder which side will be right, or I wonder how fast it's going to be bet back up, pretty suddenly.
Beautiful. Stu, what do you got for a long shot this week? We've been on a little drought. We got to hit one. We're getting close. We've been getting damn close. But we got to hit some of these. Let's go.
Yeah, I will say, though, hey, last week someone said you have a touchdown, and we did hit Ferguson off the touchdown. So I got a little bit of money in the bank right there. For me, my long shot this week, I was hoping I'd get a little better price. I might have to line shop it a little bit more. I see it plus 360 on FanDuel. Chris Olave to have 100 receiving yards against the Chicago Bears. Top 5 explosive plays allowed. They've been particularly weak on the outside. Olave is running almost all of his routes on the outside. He has not exclusively, but been a majority outside wide receiver this season. And that's where the Bears have really struggled. So for that reason, the blow-up game is coming. I mean, we know it's coming. We saw Shaheed get those couple catches and absolutely blow it up last week, but we know it's coming. The route volume, the opportunity, the first read target share. He leads this team with a 22% first read target share. We know it's coming. And actually, Carr's coming off his best game of the season. That was his highest PFF grade. I believe he finished the week 6th in success rate last week. Finally coming in with a little bit of momentum. Let the ball fly successfully last week. And now we get a Bears defense where you theoretically should be able to dominate. They just added an even better run defender a second ago. It's going to be Alvin Kamara, 10 catches for 42 yards, and Chris Olave, 4 catches for 100 yards. There you go. Let's cash some tickets. And hopefully I can find a little bit better price on this number, but I haven't looked super close yet. This is what I'm getting on FanDuel right now.
Beautiful, beautiful. I don't know if I'm getting the full value that I should out of this. Just because they are extremely correlated. But I still like it at this price. Plus 455. I'm going to be going with what we just went with over there. I'm going to go Jamar Chase, 10 receptions. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow, 300 passing yards. It's going to be about 450. I think it could be better if you decide to split it up, but I really think that if this happens, Jamar Chase is getting there, right? That is literally how we're going to get to 300 passing yards, especially if I'm going to have 26 completions, right? I'm expecting that same behind the line of scrimmage stuff. I'm expecting some yards after the catch from Jamar Chase. I also expect them to try to push this deep secondary. I expect them to try on these safeties, right? Especially if they're not going to get a pass rush and they're going to take away that running game. Give me 50 attempts there, Burrow. And I'm assuming if we're going to complete, 30 completions, guaranteed 10 of those are going to Jamar Chase. He ain't going to find anybody else that many times. So I do think T. Higgins will get a little bit more involved this week. But, I mean, we might see 15, 16 targets heading over to Jamar Chase this week. You saw it right after when he's like, I'm always open, baby. And ever since he said that, this boy's been cooking. So sometimes what you say to the media actually helps you out there. So sign me up. I'm going Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, same game parlay over on FanDuel. I like that they already gave me the alt receptions line. They usually make me wait, but they did put them out. There's only 2 of them out there, and Jamar Chase was one of them. So if you want to bet them separate, you can get Jamar Chase at plus 210 separate just for him to have 10 receptions. But I think that we're going to see Joe Burrow throw it around here, and I think he's getting to 300 anyway.
Yeah, no, I like this combo. Like I said, the vibes are good for this one. You know, we're rolling into that game. This team is moving in the right direction. Like I said, a week and a half ago, I thought it was the Vikings and I thought it was the Bengals that really kind of turned that corner, not just on the offensive side of the ball, the defense side of the ball. I criticized a lot of coaches coming off by having that extra rest. And obviously the Bengals had that for their last game right there. But you can say what you want. Lou Amarillo, fantastic defensive coordinator, primed to be a head coach one of these days. If not, he probably should already have been one. Proved it these last couple seasons. But that gives the Bengals another little edge right there. Super pumped for this game. Hopefully Joey B is cashing some tickets for us, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Got him last week. Obviously happy to be betting on Joey B in that one with those Bengals just absolutely cooking last week. But yeah, I'm going right back to it. Nice total too, right? 51.5. I mean, expected some points there. Let's see it. Let's see him score it early there. Terrence already dropping in here with our combo. There is 24.51 on FanDuel. Like I said, not bad odds for 3 things that obviously I bet on Olave last week for the 100. Chase got me the 100 yards. Yeah. Olave screwed me over. Of course, where Shaheed decides he's 160 on 3 catches. Not one of those could have gone to Olave. Would have hit it then, dude. It would have been nice. But
also,
I like it.
Wouldn't we got to have at least one Eagles fan in here? Isn't AJ Brown about to hit 125 receiving yards, like 7 the most straight in history?
Yeah, most consecutive. Or I think he broke it last week.
Oh, he already broke it last week.
But yeah, I think Tyreek and AJ Brown are both on pace to break the all-time receiving record this year.
Because I'm just thinking like 125 for AJ Brown can't be a bad bet this week, right? Like I'm looking for the odds right now. I'm trying to pick it up, but even as someone that's on Hurts, I mean, just come on, like we got to have like. There's no way there isn't an Eagles fan in here that already has the ultimate, AJ Brown parlay built out already. Because this guy's been dominating. Yeah, 125 receiving yards.
7 straight?
What do you say?
What's it, 7 straight now?
Yeah, I believe it's 7 straight already, and he's going for 8 right here. It'd be plus 425 is what you get for 125. And you get 175 for 100. Damn. So you're not getting, the best price, but I might have to sprinkle 425 for 120. AJ Brown's going to dominate against the Cowboys. So
love it. Stu, we got one other question. I know I was going to get to it in a second. You got any thoughts here? One of the guys been in the chat a lot here, Jay Raven, bringing up Dalton Kincaid at 38.5. Any thoughts on this one?
I mean, he's trending in the right direction. Obviously, Dawson Knox was our biggest competition all season long, and he's no longer in there. What I will say, to me personally, the value has opened up on Shakur or Khalil Shakur. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It might be Shakur.
That's right.
But either way, I talked about it last week. This is a team that was playing league high in 12 personnel, which means they're running a lot of 2 tight end sets. They veered away from that as expected. Last week, we saw a lot more 3 wide receiver sets, a lot more 11 personnel. I see that happening going forward. So will Kincaid be able to consistently handle this tight end 1 workload? I'm not sure, but having the volume in a Josh Allen offense is good enough for me. So I would lean over. The thing I'll say is with Kincaid's ADOT, his low average depth of target so far this season, I'd rather play receptions. He's just been so much more consistent for me in that market this year. But it's hard to hate, honestly. Kincaid is now in a good spot. But also, I haven't been super impressed as a Kincaid drafter. If you watch him on tape, he's not like getting great separation. He doesn't like look fantastic. Like when you watch Laporta on tape, Laporta like looks like, oh yeah, this is George Kittle. Fuck, the league's in trouble. You know what I mean? When I watch Kincaid, I don't really think the league's in trouble. I think we got our next like Hayden Hurst or whatever. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm making some snap judgments. He's a young guy. Tight ends take a lot of time. I'm going to walk that back so I don't get clipped. I don't want to, be a Kincaid hater. But I just will say I'm not like the biggest buyer in the world, but you got Josh Allen and you're the tight end 1. So I would take receptions.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be that good in this offense when you got Diggs and Gabe Davis on the outside. Like Hayden Hurst would be. I bet you Hayden Hurst put up numbers in this offense.
No, he would. He 100% would. That's why I was
So,
trying to make sure, it wasn't too crazy.
I got you.
I was just saying, like, the talent might not be what people thought the talent was, and that's going for someone that even has him in a decent amount of best ball as well.
Okay, there we go. You just got to walk it back a little bit. I know you don't want to get fought. You don't want nobody to come fight you. I get you. Yeah, I think we're good. We're good. We got this one done quick. Love it. Love it. Love it. Stu, what do you got for the people here before we head out?
Yeah, nothing much. I mean, make sure you're following on Twitter. That's obviously where all the action is going to be coming from. I don't know about you. I like a lot of spots this week. I really do. I'm already working. I teased. I played that Rashi Rice spot with Tyreek for half a unit already. Got that on the books. A lot of stuff I'm looking forward to posting. So make sure you're following over on Twitter. That's where that will be at. I'm trying to get everything out there for free. I had Jonathan Taylor already move a couple points after I posted it last night at 1 in the morning. We're 24/7 here, baby. You can always expect some player props when we got action. So yeah, all I can really ask, you follow, you leave a like on the video. We're doing this for free. We're doing our best. I think we're putting out some pretty good information, whether you love the bets or not. I like to think we're making people more informed sports bettors. That's the goal of this show. So I'm super pumped. And yeah, I see Joseph in the chat wants a quick recap. We can run it one more time. You can grab that if you want.
Yep. We'll run it back Tyreek for Stu, as well as our Devontae Adams Hurts spot. I'll be rolling with Kelsey Ceedee and also Joe Burrow. And then our long shots is for Stu is Olave, and then Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase there. So again, guys, we'll always have the recap about 10 minutes before the end of this. Usually we spew some random BS here for the last 5, but no, obviously a lot of good information. Again, we're trying to help you, right? Be better, so you guys know what you're doing. So if there is a day, right, there is a day like this week where we didn't have a NFL show on Wednesday. We had an NBA show because that was 13 games, right? You still know what we're looking for to make your own judgments on your own plays there as well. So you know what you're doing. You know how to figure out how to cut down those plays, right? We don't need 50 plays a game, but just kind of, finding those spots that we can make some money on. As always, appreciate the support, you guys. Hit that like button on the way out. Just dropped our YouTube play of the day spot, plus 130 NBA for tonight. We'll be rolling with one there, so excited for that. But yeah, hit that like button on your way out, guys. We always appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll be back on Monday, hopefully talking about a sweep here. We got love the spots, right? Hopefully we're hitting that 24-1 that Terrence dropped for us with all of our stuff combined. So thank you guys so much. Again, we appreciate you, and we'll see you on Monday for another NFL spot for finally another good primetime game on a Monday. We love it. So thank you guys. Have a good one. Good luck this weekend.